Hey guys, making sure our audios are good. It looks like it is. It's a little delayed. Uh, huh. Okay.
What'd you do?
I'm trying to. Oh, there we go. I forgot that the desktop audio is slightly switched from where I was, and I'm like, why is it so low? Oh no. Okay, audio level should be good. Hi
What'd you do?
everybody. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to another ReRoll podcast. I am very excited for tonight's conversation.
Yes.
It is Death of an Author. And you'll hear, uh, um, as per usual, playing Devil's Advocate because it's my favorite. I like the doubles. And we'll weigh in opinions on if it's good or bad or what people think about it. Potential wrongness on both sides of the conversation. But let's see who we have here tonight. So we have a Vic, we have Dickie and myself, and I think Tabby is somewhere in the corner just listening.
I'm here.
She's always here.
I mean, like she's usually just there, but I think her.
You know how this works.
yeah,
Cole
the
just
chat
throws
mom.
out an arcane eye and just like walks away.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not wrong.
I mean, that's pretty much his MO. I'm gonna just arcane eye and I'm gonna go 30 feet that way.
Oh,
Look,
so
you have no idea how many times I forget that I have that spell.
That might have been useful last time.
It would
Oh.
have been. It cannot go through doors, so that's all I'll say. But
It can go through, but it can go
Addie-
through a really, really small.
Addie broke a window.
as long as it's 1 inch, yeah. Addie did break a window. You should break windows.
Tabitha.
Break windows. Commit. No. We can't condone that.
Yeah, not in these times where property's worth killing for, apparently.
Yes.
Over rights of individuals.
Yes.
That's apparently the argument of tonight's. Of today's political field, because people having rights is our politics, which is kind of the discussion for today.
Oh
Yeah. Yes. But before we get into maybe heated conversations here and there, as I say that and one person leaves, as I just saw the view count drop, like, yeah,
They're like, and we're out.
and off. It's all good. It's all good. It's just love. Let's see where we are in the games, because we have quite a bit of games, and I really love that you said Cole has Arcane Eye that can just look through wherever he wants, because the Harry Potter group are currently right now in a dungeon, and they're discovering not only did death create the Horcruxes of a set topic that's controversial for tonight, of a franchise, an IP, if you will. That's kind of the conversation. Death also created 4 swords and a dagger, and they're learning what that is. And as they learn that, Sonia, the all-knowing Sonia, decided that she was going to cast Arcane Eye, go inside the tiny hut, and just sit there and explore the entire dungeon. And she did. She found every single crook and cranny of the dungeon. It's like, that's really creative. You can't go through walls, so you can't find anything, like, secret. But
Fucking wizard.
but yeah, wizards, man. So that's where the Hogwarts prep kids are. Sacred World at the moment is currently
I more often. Note to self.
Cole quickly writes
Yeah.
a note in a giant book.
Yes. The Sacred people, Sacred World folks are taking back a keep from Whitestone that's been overtaken by gnolls, and which is a conversation I kind of want to just barely talk about a little bit, because I think that might just be an entire different conversation. But it has been pushed on the idea of needless deaths, so I kind of wanted to poke that for a bit and see what you guys think. In Rise of Tiamat, we did our 2nd episode. All the hard work to get those masks, and I'm so glad that we gave it to a drunk pirate, because currently the cult cannot find that one.
Yeah, currently. Well, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm both terrified and excited over the actions and consequences of our last characters. Because if they find out Maz, they can bring Tiamat back, and
I'm gonna need you to make some rolls, Fox.
Fox just looks at those rolls, throws him down the sea. Somebody else's business.
God.
I can see that. Fox, you get to decide what happens with the world. All you have to do is roll this d20, grabs d20, throws into the sea, walks away.
Walks away, goes, pets his donkey, and just leaves.
And in the Theros game, they just killed the champion not Heronius, another good boy that starts with an H, not Heliod. Heliod, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like,
killed, yeah, they killed the champion of Heliod, and they awoken another boon from one of the gods. So that's exciting. But as per always, if you guys have any questions, please put them in chat, and we'll try to answer them as we get. But yeah, so Addie, for reasons, won't. Lynn will not be here this upcoming Friday. So Addie got a little bit annoyed with the group for a lot of killing that, in his view, as he's a person that tries to at least guide people into the afterlife and takes the idea of life and death extremely seriously, to the point of very openly and publicly and vocally not agreeing with the idea of gods, since they kind of go against what is nature. They go against life and death. But in his anger, he rose somebody from the dead. That's a thing that should probably be discussed whenever you guys can.
oh yeah.
and left. But it did rise that at least it's poking into West, I believe. Because yeah. So what up, y'all? Just poking at the question, seeing if you guys. What are your character's internal thoughts as this is happening? Because the idea from, I assume, someone can make is that yes, this sucks, but doing this and getting the answers we need could help so many lives, and stopping an evil god is probably a good thing, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
So where is the balance? What do you guys think?
Well, I think for in my own personal opinion, I think for Addie, it kind of falls into the whole again, since being a druid, natural order. So I guess his perspective of needless death being that we are cutting short the lives of living creatures that have the right to life. And that's probably where his upset is coming from. And I think it's kind of reflecting a bit on West, because he's kind of hitting that level of self-awareness. It's just like, why are we doing this? Like, I understand that we have jobs that we need to do, but it's kind of like now thinking critically about the destruction we're causing along the way. Like, obviously everything we do is having an impact on somebody, and there's a chance that that could be a negative impact, even though we have somebody in our party that's telling us that we're doing the right thing, or somebody that's outside the party telling us we're doing the right thing. But that's, I think it's just words, and West is just like, but why are we doing this?
Oleg has a simple solution.
Is it money?
Kill or be killed.
I mean, that's valid.
Yeah.
The whole survival of the fittest archetype.
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
For Oleg, that makes a lot of sense.
It's kind of like the Old West. You draw the gun, you better shoot it.
Yeah.
If you're going to go out and try to overtake places that have been overrun that somebody hired you to do, if you made the move, you might as well follow through on it, because if you don't, you'll be sorry.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that you guys are first, I want to point that you guys are role playing beautifully, and I absolutely love it. And I do think that if we ever have a group or a campaign and everybody's just has the same pace has the same like thoughts, and it's the answer is yay or the answer is nay to all, and everybody's in agreement, that won't lead to further discussion and further conflict. And not necessarily conflict of like enemies, but at least, you know, friends have different opinions. Friends have different discussions sometimes.
Yeah, I for sure am enjoying the whole internal conflict among a group working together, because it shows that everybody has their own diverse ideals, and it's like, as you said, it's sometimes it kind of falls a bit if, you know, the entire group is just all one note.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like, yeah.
And I do want to hash on a little note that if you do have a character that is like extremely defiant and always like this, it's my word or the highway type of like mentality, then that's probably not a good character to have in the group. At the end of the day,
character balances out everybody else. I mean, you can have your overbearing, you know, Neanderthal type character, conservative type character, but as long as his character is balanced out by everybody else in the group, he can't exist.
Yes, yeah, because it's
we call it a Neanderthal.
Wes doesn't even know the meaning of the word.
I don't even know the meaning of the word, but I know I was called it.
What I was gonna say is that at the end of the day, it is a cooperative game, and if everyone is high-fiving at the end of the game, and you're like, hey, you know, my character is thinking these things, but not that me, or something along those lines. At the end of if the story progresses forward, and there's hiccups and redeeming arcs and stories progress and need to go in the way that they naturally will flow. As long as it's not legit butting heads and I versus thy type of mentality, then I think the story will go good, and this should just naturally explore the way it should explore. Trying to avoid conflict and just be peaceful at all times, whether with story purposes or with the group, doesn't do your character justice, because you should roleplay what your character would roleplay.
Do as your character do.
Yeah, do as your character do.
I spent majority of last game creating a
save point.
A save point to get us out, just in case stuff gets hairy. Cole.
I mean, Cole is very big brain.
Cole,
whether he uses it sometimes.
Cole, I love your idea. I was waiting the entire time to be like, Cole, are you gonna tell somebody you're doing this? No, I got this. All right, 10 minutes later.
I got it.
I love because and it's like, no, I got this. Just trust. I'm doing a thing.
Trust.
I mean, he did tell everybody. It's like, hey, I got a means for us to get out just in case things get bad.
Yeah, that's true. I do love the just for you guys, a little behind the scenes. Usually during our games, it's not always the same person. We have quite a few people that generate like memes and just send it to us, like in our own personal chat. The one that I absolutely love is the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. It's just Cole like protecting Cole. I was like, yeah, I like that. That's really good. I really do like that.
I do have to bring up one with Vic just now saying like, whether or not when Cole uses his brain, I'm like, just say me shaking hands with Josh. Just say it. Just say it.
I mean, it was a decision you made, Cole. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that it was a positive. I don't know. I have no idea.
The DM says I have no idea. We're in for it.
I mean, if you succeed, whatever this magical fiendish cat guy is, I don't know. I have no idea. As everybody knows exactly what Rakasha is.
Literally, no, it was funny because I know Vic and I will like discuss outside of the games, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, what if it's this? And then we're both like, no, and then we played the week before last week's, and we're both like, son of a bitch,
motherfucker.
As soon as Colton this, as we were describing King Shot, he was like, wait a minute.
The dots were connecting.
And As
Or
the
as-
chat yeah, go ahead.
Fantasy Tony the Tiger.
Exactly, like as chat says.
This is not great.
And just that little, like when we were going off break, just little mutter under his breath, and he's like, "I've had an entire party be killed because of Rakasha." Rakasha. But yeah,
I think my favorite thing during that entire deal was when he spoke in Abyssal and Jeremiah was just like, okay, Ragnar doesn't know what he says. I know what he said.
Yeah, and
No, it was in Abyssal.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, Abyssal's nice.
it was Infernal.
Everybody who has Infernal.
Oh, it was Infernal, sorry.
Everybody who
But it
is
was a
slightly
Abyssal.
bilingual went,
Because a fun little thing that we do discuss sometimes, and I want to explore that a little bit more going into the next arc when I have fine time to tune. There is two frames of thought, and like, oh, all dwarves sound Scottish. That's not necessarily true, but as an example, most people that live in that specific region of the world tend to have this style of voice, and you could have origins for like, oh, let's say my ancestors were Japanese, but I was born in this region, so I sound Scottish, but I have Japanese blood. As an example, you'd be like, oh, that elf sounds Scottish. Oh, probably because he was born next to a lot of dwarves. Like, that's a cool idea, I think. And we've established that since Jeremiah has to, he's bilingual in his first language, Tagalog, he has to translate sometimes things and like, how do I see this in English? And so Elven, forever in our campaigns, will be Tagalog. And
Yes.
apparently, in that moment in time, like, all right, Spanish is now Infernal.
and then you realized.
And then I realized,
There's like 3 people at the table that know Spanish.
it's like,
and you're like, fuck.
well, hey, it's good. I love that. That's amazing. And then we can make Celestial Latin. And I think that's good.
You want to know something fun about that whole interaction?
Mm-hmm.
Before you sent Tabitha what he said, she immediately looked at me like, what did he say?
Shut up. I caught some of the words and I'm like, wait. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
Wait, what did he say? And I'm like,
Shut up.
and then you're like, I'm going to send the thing.
As a chat says that Headcanon dwarves have a thick Boston accent.
I love that.
Everybody,
Get outta here.
every dwarf is just the Dropkick Murphys.
Yes, absolutely. I subscribed. Thank you.
Can you imagine a Dropkick concert and then just dwarves being there just moshing, and when somebody falls out, all the
telling me
dwarves
that-
like stop, pick up the person. You want some Guinness? All right, let's keep moshing.
Are you telling me that Elle has a thick Boston accent?
Yes.
Okay.
It is now canon. She does. Keeping track of voices for 100 characters is really
Oh,
hard.
get the fuck over here.
Oh, good. Yes.
Goddamn dinner.
Just looks at Jamal. All right.
Hi, I'm walking
yes,
in.
ma'am.
Hey, I'm walking here.
Walk
As
in.
butchering the Boston accent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I am just.
Yes.
She's just curious to see where this will eventually lead us.
Oh, okay. Good places and terrible places.
Yeah, sure.
I was just saying, you said just
Sure.
good places. I was like, you're lying to me.
I mean.
Hey, behind the scenes, do you guys have? Okay, so
Mhm.
if anybody didn't figure out, the spell Cole put down was Word of Recall, and I was sitting there reading the spell during the stream, and I was like, okay, I feel like there's more stuff between the lines that I don't understand. Jesus, please explain this to me because I want to make sure this actually.
I like how Tabitha actually does her homework in the middle of the game.
I'm
good
sorry.
No, it's
Yeah.
very cool. It's very Cole. It's
You-
it's very in character for Cole.
It was in character for Cole, and I am glad that you did your homework because
People don't read their
I
spells.
usually don't say the word wasting a spell. This specific instance, you would have wasted a level 6 spell because you needed to essentially, you pretty much established a church on that stone to be able to cast this spell behind the
Church of
scenes.
dirt.
And yeah, you pretty much like this is holy now. This is sacred. You blessed everything. And you're like, okay, Farlagon, this is now a church. I know it might look like a rock, but trust me, it's a church.
Well, I mean, you're going by the fact of what you've even stated in the past, like for Farlagon.
For Farlagon, it does make sense. Yes.
Farlagon's like, I fucking love it, little dude.
Yeah. He's like, oh, a stone next
A
to
stone?
possible road.
For me?
Perfect.
You shouldn't have.
That's one of the reasons why we kind of okayed it, because it is for Farlagon. If it was for, like, I don't know, a different...
Like, say if it was for, like, Paylor, it wouldn't probably
It'd be
work.
like, what? Wait,
Paylor, get that shit out of here.
it's a rock. Where's the sun? Where's the high-reaching area? Or,
It's
like,
you is the sun.
where is the meat?
Well, how
I need to
about
shine. I want you to have a conversation with Paylor just to see what happens.
I get blipped out of existence because I'll say the wrong fucking thing. Because in case you haven't noticed, I have a problem with authority.
Paylor's
And that heavily reflects on my characters.
You have a problem with authority. I have a problem with questioning authority.
I mean,
But
Don't-
why?
have you all noticed that there's a consistent theme of anytime I have West walk into a room with anybody of nobility or a king or queen, it just goes badly.
I
We'll
mean...
know this for next time.
I should just not be in that scenario because Vic gets mad, and then that goes into West, and then West gets mad.
To be honest, I knew what was coming. Cole didn't know what was coming. But I knew.
These are true
If
words.
Aurea were still there, she would have probably made Wes sit out in the hall.
Go
He's gotta
sit
sit
outside.
Like just facing the corner, just away from the door.
That's amazing. I love that idea.
And like Aureus like sitting in the chair that's like kind of adjunct to like the door so she can keep an eye on him. He just like turns around, she gives him a look, and he just looks back at the wall.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. So, any other points of conversation before we get into the big discussion of the night?
I think we're in danger.
Really? You don't say.
In game or in tonight's conversation?
In game.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Well, we're not setting it on fire.
You also, it'll be really hard because a lot of it's stone. So, Ariel, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Ariel, you can't set the building on fire.
Solution of catching everything on fire, sorting out the problem later, won't work this time. But
We can just do what we do best and fuck shit up.
I will say though that as a positive, you guys did force. I think at least that you encountered was about 8 or so gnolls that had to leave. So that's 8 less than you have to fight inside.
Yay.
Yay!
How many are inside is the question.
But 8 less.
8 less. Yes, there's 4. There's 4 stories. Each one has the
Ooh,
lights
yay.
on, and there's 4 less. 8
Lights.
less. Sorry.
Okay. I think
And so that might answer your question.
Cool. Only one of those gnolls has the thing that Cole has to find.
Yes.
Even though Vic would be like, technically it's the group. No, Cole's the one who shook on it, so
it's your homework, Cole. You do
it's
it.
my homework.
I like how this
I
is
didn't
just
agree to anything.
This is a
He
class assignment for him.
He has but he does have a thing in mind. If he does get the bottle, he does have something.
I'm
in
very
mind for that favor.
excited to know what that is.
Me too.
He is a powerful man. That's all. I mean, he made that established.
I feel like
he
Cole's
already
gonna,
claimed he's powerful, so Cole's gonna use that.
I feel like Cole's gonna like give his favor, and the guy's like, "Oh, I'm not that powerful," and it's like, "Motherfucker, you said."
He did say within his power, as long as it doesn't require him to die, he will do it. So he did make a very the most
Damn,
politically driven hey,
fucking
scratch my back,
legally
I'll scratch.
binding.
Yeah, I mean, he shook on it. Cole,
He
your
did
hand
fine.
still is warm after his touch. Unnaturally
Ew.
warm.
Sweaty.
Yeah, sure. You have
You know what?
clammy hands is the official abyssal negotiation. That is how you sign the fine print. Clammy
It's not.
hands.
We know, Cole.
This is the worst thing he's ever done.
We know, Cole.
Until the next one.
Until the next one.
Give it one more game.
From your point of reference, Cole, we know. It's okay.
So
anyway.
Yeah.
I will say, how does Cole feel about Addie leaving? You just kind of walked out.
That's one other thing I will sit here and say because it was funny because it was a conversation that Vic and I had before the stream on Friday.
Oh.
I was like, hey, Cole has animate dead. I wonder what would happen if he used that.
In front of
And
Addie.
Vic's like, no, Addie would get mad at you if
his whole business
and I was like, yeah, no, I won't use it. And then we see Addie do it, and I'm like,
it's it's okay if he does it, but it's not okay.
Well, it will be discussed.
I'm sure there's a reason for it.
Yeah,
so
it'll be discussed really, really early on in the game. But all I'll say is that Wes, he does have a very familiar expression in his eyes that you've felt that you've made.
Uh-oh.
So
it's sad boy hours.
Yeah, sad boy hours. It's all. What is my campaign if not sad boy hour?
It's always sad boy hours.
50 games from now, Jesus, you should just call all your campaigns sad boy hour. It's sad boy hour.
It's sad boy hours.
And awful.
But I was gonna say, if you must know Jesus, he was a bit sad.
Baby, come back.
No, Vic, not like
blame it all on me.
You can ask Grog; he'll play the music for you.
Yeah.
No.
Baby, come
Look,
back.
everybody's already Grog and West are all invested in this like it's a novella. So.
It is absolutely our novella. Thank you.
It is a novella. This whole you and Addie is a telenovela. That is all it is.
I'm loving it so much.
I hate you. I hate y'all.
It's my favorite anime. Thank you.
Yeah, second world favorite anime. Oh.
Oh no, you don't know the half of that one, Jesus. But anyways.
Now I must know details and or our concept. Please send.
It was just the entire. Okay, so when the whole thing with Addie
Yes.
getting cursed by the were-tiger, everybody on the Alistair Discord kind of went a little bit.
They went nuts and they started writing their own anime fan fiction for it. It was
anime
fantastic.
Twilight fan fiction. It was ridiculous.
It was
Oh
so
my
good.
God.
It was
I was
so
like,
good.
y'all
You
need
guys
to
are
stop.
crazy. Oh,
They are
that's
so nuts. It's so good.
Oh,
I love them. I love them very much.
I need all this. Compile it, publish it, print. Thank you.
Oh my
Okay,
god.
okay.
Oh my god.
But all right. Speaking of,
Let's get into
I
this.
was say trying to make a transition. Anime will be the death of us. There you go.
Anime will be the death of us.
We will die watching Hamtaro. That's how the end of the world will go.
Yes.
So, death of an author. Death of an author is a concept about literary criticism specifically, hence author. Essentially, should we hold the author's intentions accountable towards their art, their writing? That's the whole premise of this. As an example, if a person's a bigot, should that person being a bigot in any way influence their book that they wrote? That's kind of the topic. So before we go into further analytical discussion and start picking and tearing down arguments here and there, what do you guys think? What's your opinion? Should if you really like a series or a book novel or anything really, and then you find out that hey, that person's a little bit racist, but this is my favorite book. What would you feel? How do you think that should be viewed?
Massively conflicted in it. I think it's
For sure.
definitely massively conflicted because especially being somebody who grew up on Harry Potter, since that is going to be a main
that's
topic
gonna be
night.
90% of our conversation.
That's gonna be 90% of the conversation. So let's just jump right into that.
Sure,
but
yeah, let's do
yeah,
it.
growing up on Harry Potter, reading through the books, and like, you know, I think I started reading the books like around the 4th or 5th grade, and it was just one of those things that just like it really sucked you in, and it was like such a fantastic read through. And your first time reading through it's just obviously so magical, and you can't wait for the next book, and you're just like so heavily invested. And then as you get older, and the movies, yeah, whatever, they're a thing.
The movies.
Yeah.
First of all, does that sound like you don't like the movies? Do you not like the movies?
I have a love-hate relationship with the movies. Like,
really?
they're
Okay.
yeah,
Why? What's up?
because I read the books.
All right. Okay.
Because I read the books, and like the movies differed so vastly from the books in some bits
Sure,
of content.
sure.
There's it's a whole discussion about taking a novel and like trying to compress it down into like 2.5 hours.
It's
It's a thing.
it's a different media source, so it would
Exactly.
be completely. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, as somebody who likes to read the books, I usually have a very conflicted relationship with like
Sure.
movie adaptations to begin with. Lord of the Rings is no exception.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different. It's different. It's all you.
Nick looks over to me, and I'm like,
Lord of the Rings is no
nodding.
exception. The book, and like and I might be biased because as it's stated in chat, the book over movie every time, but that's because I myself am a writer, and I feel like you can give much more information in a book because you
Yes.
have an unlimited expanse of time to do that.
I would. I don't think it would be a fair comparison at the end of the day.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
It's comparing apples to oranges. Like,
Exactly.
even if it's the same source material, it's different. It's a completely different
And,
way of experiencing
and it's
it.
and it's always meant for different people too.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
some people have an easier time consuming a movie in like hour and a half to 2 hours, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Some people prefer to have that time to sit and like go through a book in that amount of time as well.
For sure, yeah.
Like it's apples and oranges. Like everybody's got their own different preference.
Yeah, because when I like the joke, it's always in my head, and I one of those things like you tick that you say it all the time. And when someone's like, "Oh, the book was better," I'm like, you know what would be better than the book? The D&D session of it,
Exactly.
right? That's
Give me the D&D session.
which for our purposes, it's
we can talk about that.
Yeah,
dude,
no.
because you have a whole
Yeah.
D&D session based around
but
Harry Potter.
that's just my opinion on that.
No, yeah. Oh no, absolutely. I
It's-
actually love that a lot.
It is heartbreaking. Like there's been so many musicians because music is one of the biggest hobbies and like the biggest art form that I've ever been in, and the least unsuccessful one. But like as soon as this pandemic's over, I'm definitely going to try screaming into a microphone again. It's
Yo, what's up? We still got to do our pirate death metal band.
we're doing a pirate death metal band. There's no question about that.
Can I go back to the original question?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going back to it.
Because you were asking if you like some show or writing or something like that, and then you find out the person that's producing it is putting it together as racist and stuff like that. We all are racist one way or another, whether we like to admit it or not. It could be, very slight in some, it could be very strong in others. And I think if you enjoy the writing, if the writing does something for you, that you're into what they're writing, then you want to be entertained, and racism doesn't come up in your mind. But if you find out the person is racist, then you have to make a decision which is the stronger emotion in you. Is it enjoying the reading, or is it the political correctness?
Yeah, I really want to, because words matter.
I would
Yes.
I would definitely replace the word racist in that sentence and say prejudice might be the bigger umbrella that you're looking for, because racism is essentially the whole systemic oppression of a singular race. You're probably looking for prejudice. This is the word.
Prejudicial.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which everybody would have their own biases on, like, it does insequential biases of like, I don't like pirates. This person, now that I'm reading this does sound like a pirate book. I don't like it anymore. Like that. Yes, I agree. Those things in a in a logical conversation, one should not. In which was the point of the essay. logically, and logic being the philosophical branch um, of understanding an argument and coming with a conclusion based on the premises of said argument. You shouldn't. You should not say, if you like the song, if you like the book, that's it. That is a conversation. It's the book. It is that media form, right? And you like it. And if that influenced you, if that changed your mind, if this is your favorite song, if this was the book that made you want to start writing, then those emotional attachments are still there. The fact that you learned that this person was a bigot in any way, shape, or form, in sucks, right? But it is still a part of you. Their art still helped you develop into the person that you are today.
Yeah, it's. I think for like circling back to essentially the original point that I was making was
Please.
with Harry Potter being something that I was so intrinsically into, and then finding out that J.K. Rowling is essentially a very problematic person in the fact that one, horribly transphobic, among other things, and basically it's one of those things where you try to separate the author from the work and you're like, okay, maybe I can enjoy this without putting her credit towards it. But then people started going through and reanalyzing the work and finding out that it's already in there, it's written into the book, and you just had to actually take a look at it to see it. Like, she wrote in, like, obviously very anti-Semitic look at goblins, for one. The whole thing with the house elves, and then the one that really shocked me was, because I never even gave it a second thought until that moment, was when somebody pointed out that her descriptions of the journalist Rita Skeeter was essentially supposed to be a very crass caricature of a transgender woman. Right. Because she would be constantly focusing on how Rita Skeeter's hands looked mannish, or like how she had a square jaw, or like how it looked like she was wearing a wig. Like, obviously, picking at that this individual in this moment looked like a man in a dress, and that was kind of fucked up.
Yeah. And
so, yeah.
And I think because I agree with the point that you're saying, Dickie. And like, Vic, her views, which they shouldn't be discussed as political views, because it's fucked up to say me wanting to exist in the world and me wanting to be myself is considered a political view. Like that, yeah.
Existing should not be political.
Yes, it really shouldn't. And to see someone that you love their work, and it's an amazing world, and to find out that they have a different opinion about your existence is horrible. It's
fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah, and that's in where this topic lies.
Don't meet your heroes.
Yeah, in one way that people have flaws. People it's heartbreaking, and so death of the author. Should we go kill her? No, that's not the point. Death of the author in this situation would be something along the lines. Here we can get into one of the last points here on the thing. Council culture. It's big. I don't necessarily agree with it.
I don't either.
Honestly, just because you disagree with somebody or a person did a mistake, should that one thing be the crux of everything, and therefore their art can no longer be the source of income anymore? Should you say no to Harry Potter merchandise? Should you say no to the movies? It's not a yes or no conversation, obviously. Yeah. None of this is yes or no.
No, of course not.
It's a long discussion, and if you're okay with it, then you're okay with it. And someone might be like, hey, I'm a trans individual, and that's messed up, but I'm okay with it. The number one person, peoples, I guess, that I know that love Chick-fil-A are all gay.
I hate the fact that I was about to bring that up.
I know so many gay individuals who are like, I really don't care. Their sandwiches and fries are the bomb. And like, they're okay with that. And that's perfectly fine. If that's where your stand in this discussion, then cool. Don't get mad if it's hard, right? Because it's like saying, "Hey man, this is where like my like is." You don't like somebody bullying your friend, and you're like, that's messed up. You want to defend them. You want to like rise up and be like, that's not cool. And they're like, but just be civil about it. And it goes into Thanksgiving, like, oh, you're gonna have your racist uncle say racist shit. And it's like nobody say anything because we need to keep peace at the table. And then you not saying anything is the reason why they think it's okay to say that shit in the beginning. And it comes up with more conflict. And then they're racist out in public. And nobody's saying anything because they can be racist in public because their friends and families didn't stop them at beginning and didn't tell them, hey, that's not okay anymore. Like, that's not, it was never okay. But we're saying don't do it.
Yeah.
And
I think my just to nose in,
please.
for me, I think we need to hold people accountable for their actions.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's okay to make a mistake out of ignorance, and it's moving into I guess teaching why that was bad, and then hopefully people can correct from that.
Yeah.
If they don't want to correct, then that's fuck I don't know. But the whole point, if we got to hold people accountable for problematic action, we don't need to like outright jump into cancel culture, but we should show people why what they're doing is harmful.
One of my issues with cancel culture is the fact that there have been so many issues within the past few years of people doing that, and then they target people that have nothing to do with it,
just rushing into a bandwagon of like, stop buying this person's art, and then publicly saying they're this bad thing.
Yeah, which a note in chat right now is, it's also good to note that there's really no ethical consumption under capitalism. Nearly every place you shop at is going to be in some way problematic.
That's true. Like, I have blue jeans on right now, and that in of itself is supporting child labor in a different country, because our country, for capitalism, goes and sends the work over there because they're going to get this for 5 cents. So, yes, I agree. Another thing, like, to point to the thing is, like, even if you're buying vegan food, the vegan location is still killing rats at their plant because it's a pest. So you're still consuming in something that had to do with the death of an animal. Like, not that eating vegan food equates to that rat dying, but just to point that out, that yes, under capitalism, ethics kind of get thrown out the window for the god of dollars. But whatever. Cancel culture is dangerous because the idea that everybody jumps on the bandwagon to just say stop endorsing them in their product is really hard, especially for smaller artists, that's all they can do. And there's been so many times that the idea of counseling that person has been wrong, and they're like, I didn't say these things, or I was this, but I was unaware of how horrible my words were and how it was affecting people. I am so sorry, and they truthfully changed. Discussing and having these conversations, like with JK, like, here's evidence on, which is such a, I hate to say these words, here's evidence on why what you're saying and being transphobic is a negative thing. Like, here's the conversation. It should be simple, but apparently it's not. The world still has a lot to grow. And unfortunately, one powerful person with a negative voice sounds really loud, and it's very appealing. So I would like to heed the cancel culture, and if you really like the something as someone as rich and powerful as J.K. Rowling is, you're not going to see the next Fantastic Beast movie in of itself really is not going to hurt her. If
Yeah.
if you really like Harry Potter, go to an artist alley and pay somebody a commission for like an amazing picture of Hogwarts versus going to a store as an example that you could do to feel like I do like the franchise, but I don't want to support her. As an example, like you can go to an artist alley, buy an amazing print versus going to a million stores that has her merchandise, and it's still gonna be a thing. Just because a JK said all these negative things that you don't agree with does not mean you should attack the actors in that film that probably made a contract before they knew that these things, and I guarantee you they don't believe those things. It's just this is my line of work, and Newt is a really interesting character, and holy crap do I love playing him. Like, have you seen this set? Like, it is a tempting thing to be like, I'll get to work on a Harry Potter franchise. Holy crap. And then your ethics will lie in and see where you feel. And it is a conversation everyone should have on their own if they're in that situation or any situation of it. Like we've discussed it for our Hogwarts game. Our Arthurian campaign was going to focus a lot on what would the wizarding world be like in medieval culture, like dead center where the idea of wizards sprung out from. The idea of Hogwarts it's in the future in this timeline. What would that be like? And we had a discussion and we're like, we're not going to focus on those things. We're going to focus on Arthurian lore. That's there is going to be a division of magic users versus non-magic users, but that's not inherently J.K. Rowling's territory. There's Bright and there's Cursed, and there's another Netflix series about it as well, where like the Fae were being persecuted by the church. There's a lot that you can do with that, and I guarantee you, there's gonna be 1 out of the 7 people in the group who will go watch the movie, who will probably purchase Harry Potter memorabilia, and they do not support those ideas, and that's fine. You shouldn't criticize them. You shouldn't do something about that. And it is worth knowing that even if you're a person in a situation where like you feel bad because you learned that your hero has any negative things to say about your personal life or about just basic human rights, it's okay to say their story has influenced me and that story made me be the person that I am today. I am not the author and I don't agree with the author's statements. So that's okay with that. But there is the idea of, like Vic was saying, holding people accountable for, like, there's still the idea of holding someone accountable for it. And there is the power of influence that people still have. Like J.K. Rowling being transphobic and actively talking to people that have the power to influence the rights of individuals is scary.
Yeah.
Versus, we all know that H.P. Lovecraft was racist. Like, just Google what he named his cat. That's messed up, yo. But he's dead. And that's, I think, a key difference when this essay was written and the massive influence that social media has and how fast the internet grew since the article has been written. If someone writes something amazing and then says something really stupid and horrible and just puts one tweet out there, that could be the key to help people in power hurt other people. No one's going to use the political idealism of H.P. Lovecraft and use it in today's politics. But people will talk to J.K. Rowling and be like, hey, here's some not cool shit to talk about. You're popular, you say it. Like, that's a thing that could happen and that is happening.
Right.
That is where accountability should be put into hand. That's I think the scary part of today's technology. as fast as you can cancel somebody and hurt them by mistake is as fast as somebody with that influence talking to the wrong and or right person to hurt somebody.
Right. Another point that I have found to be something that does occur to a lot of content creators is, or at least a few notable ones, I should say, is say that they did something problematic in the past, like way before they actually got, popular or anything, and moved on from that, learned, grew as a person, and learned that what they did was wrong, and they own up to that. And then they become the content creator. They make their series or their book or whatever, and they put it out there. But then somebody who has too much time decides to go back, find that thing that they did that was problematic at the time, bring it back up, and be like, you shouldn't support this person because they did this thing like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
That
I don't like you for supporting that. Like, that's something.
That's the
like,
specific
that's
case that
dangerous.
happened to, what's the director's name? The guy who directed Guardians of the Galaxy. That pretty much happened to him.
James Gunn, I think.
Yeah. He said some not cool things in the past, and
Right.
he's apologized to me like, yeah, that was super not cool of me. I was dumb.
Like,
and
we have all been different people in the
Yeah.
past. Like, we've all had to learn from being stupid
Yeah.
idiots. Like, and also Jenna Marbles, that was mentioned as well.
Well,
I think I know who that
dude,
is.
wasn't it the same way with Aaron from
Yeah,
Game
Aaron.
Grumps?
Yeah, Game
Yeah.
Grumps.
Yeah, there's some.
There's a lot of people that have had to, like,
yeah, that have owned up to their stuff, but some people still want to try dredging up the past and being like, hey,
Right.
There is an
Okay.
idea of. At the end of the day, I think most acts that are, how do I say, non-righteous would
not
be
wrongtious, bro.
wrongtious, very wrongtious. Would be first the idea of comparison, and secondly the idea of power. You gaining a little bit of power over saying, "Hey, said celebrity, they said this." That takes away part of their influence. And I know that like PewDiePie is an amazing successful YouTuber, and he's fallen onto a lot of controversies, and he's owned up to them, and but not once has he been like, yeah, this person said this thing, and I really don't agree with them. But that in of itself, because he's spoken out about YouTube specifically taking off the platform from some artists because they said not cool things. Like, oh, here's a YouTube channel that's pro-Nazi. And he's like, why did you guys cancel them? 100% that's disgusting. But aren't you in a country that promotes freedom of speech? Like, and there is that conversation that should be had. And I don't think that saying yes or no should be an answer. It should be societal. It should be, what do we think at the time? And one of the things that I think really, really, really bad in the United States is whenever there is a discussion about something, that how should we take that into account, we don't listen to the members of that society or that group. We just cast our vote based on our own assumptions.
Yeah.
And it really should be like that group's view on it, and like what that community has something to say. I forgot the word community. That's what I was looking for.
That's the word.
That's the word. Game Grumps is actually taking a lot of their older videos down because of their acknowledgement of the sticky situation. Which, I think that's
a way to own up to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, this content could hurt somebody. Let me take it down. That's I apologize. I took it down. I'm sorry. Let's move on. And because one person said a bad word one time should not equate to them never being able to eat from their art.
Right.
It's already hard enough for us to make it as artists.
Oh God, right. And as an example of, like, holding a person accountable, like, again, like if we're using Game Grumps as an example, there was a time where a word was used that was not okay. Somebody actually messaged one of them and was like, hey, I don't think you should use this word. It's really offensive to me, and here's like all the reasons why. And like you listed it, and then they were like, oh, I am so sorry. I will do my best from now on to not use that word.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, apologies, acceptance, moving on from that. Like, you know, a learning process.
Yeah.
And then you have people that won't even do that.
I know, that's awful.
And the people that won't do that, and it's a hard thing.
Yeah. I think it's just like a natural defense that people don't want to be in the wrong.
I'm not.
And so
Most people, especially the ones that are in the wrong, quote unquote. That's where the idea of that's where ethics lies in. And I will voice it again because I think ethics and morality are two different things. Morality is counterculture. We said boo or we say yay about a subject. Ethics is a logical conversation to determine if something is good. And if it's not good, it could be neutral or it could be bad. But at least it's not good.
Best way of putting that is morality is basically black and white, and the other one that you said has gray in it. And how much gray in it depends on how wide the line, how thin of black and white you want to go and how wide of gray you want to go.
Yeah. That's a way of putting it. And it's like this is one of the harder conversations I think that we've had on the show. It's not just like, do you like writing with pens or do you like paper? Should we use a notebook to write D&D notes? Because this could influence like games as well. It's just accountability is important. Pens. I
like
you are
pens.
a madman. Every time I write my notes, when I used to write on paper, it was always with pencil, and then I would use those notes, and then in pen, I would copy from that sheet to another sheet, so it can be nice and clean.
I write just straight in pen, because all my pencils are reserved for drawing.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean,
all right, continue flexing your philosophy degree. Go for it.
It's not. It's. Let me give you a short rundown of philosophy. There's a question, someone has an answer to it, and then that answer is wrong. Somebody counters that, and then we're gonna counter it forever. And then at once upon a time, someone was like, "Yo, you can read it. It's in a book called The Prince. All this is stupid. It don't mean anything." And everybody's like, "You're right. What has philosophy discovered?" And they're like, "I don't know." And then logic came in, and they're like, "Oh, that's interesting. That's really, really cute.
Oh my!
Can you discern any truth from that?" No. And then now we are where we are, where
Okay.
every single professor I've ever discussed has like, you all should really take a philosophy course, at least introduction to philosophy. But that's probably as far as you should go.
I was told either take philosophy or sociology, and I chose sociology because it seemed the least hard of the two.
I took a philosophy class in Massachusetts when I was going to school up there, and I felt like people were talking about 10 to 20 feet above my head. I didn't understand a word they were saying. They were speaking English.
The apple does not fall far from this tree.
I was one of my friends. It was going through something a little hard, and she's trying to help another one of her friends. And so my girlfriend's like, "Oh, I have a book on that exact subject of discussion." So she turned to it, and it was highlighted and keynoted everywhere because she got it, from university. And she like, "Here is the conclusion of the book, right? Blah 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 blah." 12 sentences later, she looks at me and is like, "Why do philosophers write like this?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's because they can't use universal statements. They have to be very precise about what they say." And it's like, what is the answer to this? I am precise about what I say based on the ideas of what I've learned previously on A, B, and C, and D. To be precise about this meaning, so you can infer this meaning because this other meaning doesn't make sense based on these premises. Conclusion. And it's like, that's not how people talk.
Deadass, half my brain just shut down through that.
I was
like, I can't process this right now.
That's why I really love logic, because logic says all that. A plus B equals C. And then you're like, give that man 100 points. He wins. Yay.
Give that man a medal right now.
Yeah, that's... Oh. Oh man. Oh god. Yay. I love philosophy. I almost failed my sex class because I told them that eyes in the art is in the eye of the beholder, and my professor wrote in red pen, "Pick a side." It's like, all right, cool, bro. Thanks for making me feel bad. Oh, yay. So, topic, conversation. I mean, yeah, I think that really, it's just that, right? You can't, not that you can't, that's the wrong word. It'd be incorrect, I believe, to find out that something that you truly love, a franchise, a PI, and learn the dirtiness of it, and that sucks. It's not cool. Um, but if you are having any internal argument or discussion with yourselves of like, especially if it completely directly affects your life, as the one that we're gonna hit over the head with it, as J.K. Rowling is transphobic. And if you are a trans individual out there, and you shouldn't let the idea of you loving it in the past tear you down. It People can change, and hopefully the goodness of people will change those ideals into saying, hey, I was wrong in the past. It's okay to say that this piece of work influenced you and shaped you and who you are. Just because, even if you're like, oh, I can see the transphobia in the writing, I can see racist ideals towards Jewish individuals in the writing. It's not that you overlooked it or that you agreed on it. It's just that, you're focused on cool magic system and the ideas of, overcoming the villain. It and yeah, I don't really think that most people will actually hold any of that accountable and be like, oh, this makes me a bad person because I read it. But it at the end of the day kind of does boggle on people's minds, and it is kind of shitty. But most people just will live their lives and be like, whatever, I gotta go to work.
Well, that's a shitty thing. Time to go to work and
Yeah.
pay my bills.
That's why so many people.
And
Then
I'm gonna go sit down and write a cool D&D game based around this world.
Yeah. And it also should note allies of said community that is being attacked. Listen to the community before you voice your opinion. And
Please.
I was chastised once by my friend, who is a big supporter of LGBT rights, and she was like, "We do not eat from Chick-fil-A in this house." I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like all these facts. Oh fuck, that makes me feel bad about it. And then literally the next day, me and my friend Bernardo were like, "Oh, what are we doing today?" He's like, "Oh, let's go get some breakfast." Drives immediately to Chick-fil-A. I'm like, "What?" But I was told by somebody all these things. He's like, "Yeah, all that's true. Do you want a sandwich though?"
Them waffle fries, though.
Them waffle fries, yo. Shit's the bomb.
It's so fucked up, but oh man.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's before.
At the end of the day, every company is gonna have some old racist CEO putting his money in places he's got no business doing it. But
there's so
it's like morals over convenience and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
That whole topic.
Hunger over morals.
Yeah, hunger over morals. Yeah.
Look, it's like right down the street from where I work, and it's fast and easy.
Yeah.
And those waffle fries, though.
I forgot. There was someone who was. I wish I could remember the conversation because it was funny. They were like, everybody knows that we throw away our morals for the convenience of 2-day shipping. So let's put this other thought into frame. Let's not chastise this right now when we have things to discuss and
Right.
rights that need to be attended to. We'll tackle that topic later. We have things that we need to do, like, eat, go to work. Those are very important to some people, like everybody. It should. We live in a capitalist society where we need to work to
Right.
survive.
Right.
Oh man, yay, capitalism.
Yay!
Uh,
Hooray!
this conversation went a little over the place. I think it's just because it's such a powerful discussion. It's such an open-ended discussion. At the end of the day, I like just to sum up my thoughts, and I would really like to hear y'all's. And please, if you have something in chat, be careful. But if you have something in chat, please let us know. Logically saying, an author should not be killed by their thoughts. The piece of art should be like Snoop Dogg, depending on who you talk to, is the biggest jerk or the softest teddy bear ever. I still like his music. And I've seen interviews of him being a complete jerk. Axl Rose is an asshole, but I like his voice. So, that's a thought. It's if you like it, you like it. Cool.
Right.
If you can't separate it, like you can't separate it. Some things you just can't.
Let me throw this out there.
Please.
Because I believe his name is Solomon Rushdie,
Mm-hmm.
the one who wrote the book about Muhammad having sex or having the faults of humans, stuff like that. So the whole Muslim religion wanted him dead. So basically, he's living under security 24/7, no matter where he goes, because he published that book. So a lot of times, the author has to understand what they're writing.
Yes.
And if they're looking for some type of effect, they have to realize they may get more attention than they really want.
Yeah, and I think that would go into probably another one of these long conversations. But the idea of the author having power and something like that, maybe before pre-internet time, would have been read and received, and people would have been mad, people would have read it, people would have ignored it, and it would have been that publication, just that work. But with the power of the internet, the power of things moving fast and traveling, it's scary, and especially when there is force behind that word or that publication that harms anyone, or vice versa, the angry mob finding out about that publication and wanting action. Those are scary things. The power of one person saying anything and influencing someone to do harm is scary. And like we have that now, where people are threatening mayors because they're counting votes. Like, that's horrible. We're threatening people's lives over their work because it challenged your view. And if you disagree with it, and it is inciting violence, then discuss why it's inciting that violence and try to do something. If someone's writing racist shit and trying to publish it, a la Mein Kampf, like, challenge it, learn why that's bad, and try to educate those that are following that thing into learning why it's bad. It's easier said than done because the world is real and pain does exist. But it's, like, if you're gonna write a very harsh religious or political statement out there, there might be consequences. And if that's something you can't handle, that's where the ethics lies in. Is it worth the struggle? Is it worth the pain? Is my knowledge getting out there in the world, and others getting educated by it, or others seeing my point of view, worth the potential risk that I'll have? That's another internal conversation that the author could have. On the other spectrum of the death of an author, which is a cool thought. Oh my.
Oh my.
You're my. But yeah, I mean, don't cancel somebody until you know all the facts, and you won't know all the facts. You just won't. There's no way of doing it. What did one of my favorite actors that for some reason his name always escapes me. Tom Hardy. As one of the famous quotes I love from him is, "If you have a problem with me, call me. And if you don't have my number, it's because you don't know me well enough to have a problem with me." I think
love that.
That's a beautiful statement.
I love that.
Then that also kind of contradicts my point of, hey, authors do have powerful intention.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe as a side point, politicians don't talk to a rapper about issues when there's entire communities that you could discuss the issues to try to, make changes. That's a thing that that's another discussion that's not here nor now, but just saying, just saying it out there.
Right.
Like 3 people will be like, I understand exactly what you're saying, and everybody else is like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. So I'll open it to I'll shut up my mouth hole for a bit and see if any of y'all have any closing statements or chat has any specific thing that they want us to read, and then we'll decide if we do want to read it or not. Don't say dumb things, guys.
Don't give me that power. I will say dumb things all the time, anytime I want.
That's exactly what I'm like. Don't say dumb things. We'll just read it.
I will say all the dumb things.
Vic, have you ever been
Yes.
in those situations where like it's Simpsons does this a lot, where like they're giving you the words to say, so when you finish those words, it will be a punchline or a joke, and you won't know it until you've done saying it, and everybody figure that out like halfway through the joke.
Oh no!
I feel that chat will.
That's my entire life.
Chat will.
That is my entire life. Everybody is in on the joke, but me.
You have chat. You have the power. You can influence him into saying bad things. Be ethical about this. See, turn that into this topic.
I will only ever say dumb shit.
Oh, perfect. That's why we're friends.
Yes.
Yeah. But final thoughts. You 3.
Yes.
Perfect. Love it. Print. Love it. Send it to print.
I pretty much threw all of my thoughts out into the chat earlier, so
yeah, and
that's all I gotta say.
For sure.
This conversation is pretty much like trying to describe the color of a chameleon. It's constantly changing. It's constantly different. It's the eye of the interpreter. What one will see, somebody else will see something else.
Yeah.
Most people will ignore the situation completely because some people just don't want to get that deep into the situation.
Yeah.
But people who are, I would say, more intelligent, more mentally stimulated by current events and stuff like that, then yeah, they would probably get more involved and think more deeply into it. Because sometimes you can overthink things, and I think this is one of the topics that can be overthought completely.
Yeah, I agree with you completely on that. Cancel culture can definitely can persuade someone into losing their entire source of income based on this person said one bad thing, and then Twitter gets
fear that I have in this world. As a content creator, it is certainly a fear I have.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's a thing in chat.
What?
And it's interesting. I am interested in how a lot of content creators are changing up the way they play their games, specifically D&D, given a lot of its more subtle racist undertones with races like orcs and drows and etc.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my friends almost about that exact topic, because she another trans person, she likes to hit the hammer on the nail about racism in the world, to be like, this is bad and it exists. It has to exist for it to be bad and for you guys to understand it. D&D has I think publicly made the statement of how, like, yeah, we pretty much put orcs into like really racist situation. And for them it was really like, if I understand the story correctly, it's like Grimish just has a beef with elves, therefore all orcs have beefs with elves, even if they don't pursue it, they have it. You can't erase evil from a game, and I love Vic's interpretation of it. Is like, look, there's racist shit, but we ain't playing it here, and that's amazing. That's his game, and that's the power that he has.
I'm tired of dealing with it on the outside. You're not
Exactly.
having it in here.
Yeah, and as a DM, you're gonna have to get into those places sometimes.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah.
And if you don't want to handle it, you don't want to handle it.
I am fully aware that in the off chance that, God forbid, if anything ever happens to Wes to the point I cannot play him anymore, my next character will be a tiefling, and I fully know that coming into your game, Jesus, where it's a thing.
Yeah, and it is one of those things where also, listen to your players. If your players are really uncomfortable with the situation, don't do it. It could be like one of those things like, oh, that sucks. I had an entire arc written on this subject. I'm like, yeah, well, your player doesn't like it, so tough
Yep.
TNT. Like, change it.
Tough turtles.
Tough turtles. Wait, Wes, are you afraid of turtles now? No.
No. No, I'm not. No.
Okay, yes. I
turned into a
I
turtle.
was trying to remember that game. Yeah.
There's also a turtle that I'm very scared of. Just one specific one.
That makes sense.
Just one specific turtle on this earth that I am scared of.
Just one.
Let's see. I feel like almost every campaign I've been in, there has always been a ton of tension with any non-humanesque races being played, like tieflings and half-orcs. Like, elves and humans are always looking at them like, the savages and archetypes and stuff.
Hey, you should really stay tuned for Friday's game.
Oh boy. I can't wait.
Because I'm not saying anything now. Depending on how far you guys get.
Jesus, we are in a castle full of gnolls.
Yeah, I know.
Oh no.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm scared. I'm excited, but I'm scared.
It's I will say this. If you just paint your world as in this race is evil, that's innately lazy. You can say all devils are evil, all demons are evil. That is a moral classification based on them not being mortals and having souls like the rest of us. It's almost like saying the water is wet. It's an element. That's what it does. All people, tend to be influenced by their upbringing. A person who was bullied and beaten by their parental might grow up to be a bully because that's all they learned. That same situation could bring up someone to say, hey, I will never let someone lay a hand on somebody else because that's not okay. Because I went through that pain. So it's very complex, and your races should be complex. I also don't like the idea of... I've always had this, and this is another discussion that could be said later, but calling them races kind of feels weird. I think it's more like species. Like, all humans are a species. I don't know. I don't know what the definition truly is. It's just
think about it this way. If an alien ever came to your planet and asked you to describe your race, or should they trust the human race, how would you respond?
If an alien came and said, should we trust them? I'll be like, what is your specific question? because there's a few that I don't trust, and there's some that I would trust my life with. So I don't know, buddy.
I don't know. If an alien came down to ask me this question, I'd be running the other way. Because fuck that shit.
I would be like,
I would say you might be able to trust the human race, but governments I would not trust.
yeah. Well, oh man, what's the quote?
Don't trust anybody that makes six figures.
No, I agree with that. The idea of billionaires, it is in my book an innate
There's a mental
immorality.
disconnect there. I know it. There's a mental disconnect that happens
Like-
once you start making that much money.
Once you start hoarding that amount of wealth, there is. But look at how much they're doing to the community. Yeah, but in the process of how the tax system.
How much of it
works,
is just doing it to save face?
yeah,
You know?
it's.
Well, it's like I
That's
say, it
different.
doesn't matter who's in the White House, Democrat or Republican, because if you put a Republican in there, then they're going to widen the tax loopholes where they don't pay as many taxes, they get to keep all their money. Then a Democrat comes in and he shrinks the tax loopholes. The guy running the corporation, he ain't going to lose his money. He's going to keep making the same money. So what does he do? He lays people off. So he don't have to pay them.
Having a two-party system is such an
It's a straight
yeah.
fucking mess, yo.
I have so much discourse with how this great country of ours runs, but that's an entire different
I'm gonna read
day.
another thing from chat.
Please do.
We're getting closer to a revolution.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm pushing in my future campaign to really not include racial aspects like that at all. I want my players to know that if an NPC hates them, it's because they're an asshole, not because they're a tiefling. Correct. That's how I like to run my games.
Yeah.
If I have an NPC that hates your guts, that's because you're being a fucking dick.
I think that's great and that's amazing. I
have
will
a really great
say-
example of dragons and morality, but I can't say it because of spoilers for Rise of Tiamat. Don't say it, Shane.
Oh.
Don't say it.
Oh, really? Speaking of dragons and immorality, where a specific group killed the dragon that was just defending their territory?
Say that in front of the player that got the final shot. Do it, man. Do
I
it.
am.
Just
I
fucking
am.
say it.
I am.
Motherfucker. You
Right now.
motherfucking goddamn.
You did do a
I had
killing
no
blow.
choice!
I know, you were like, this fuck that there's like 40 people gonna kill this guy.
I
Fuck
did
it.
not like it.
I know, you set it up. you
Wes
set it
did
up
not
times.
like it.
It's almost like there's a theme in this game.
Wes still thinks about that to this day.
You should. It sucks.
It does. It sucks so much.
Life is precious. It's almost like
Oh,
life is
shit.
sacred.
Oh, I have to tell Addie something. Okay.
Oh, that's not a fun discussion to have with Daddy.
No, it's not a fun discussion to have with Addie.
What? Oh.
But also, Wes is gonna say I did it, like he did it all himself.
West will straight up blame himself for everything that
Yes,
happens on
because-
this earth, and that's just how he is as a person.
Which,
Because he feels like he has the capability to control it, but he doesn't at all.
which also will prompt Grog punching you 100 times again.
Yes, please.
That's that.
I want Grog to punch me.
No. Anywho, please tune in for show like for realsies.
Please tune in for my
game. Tune in
for my mental crisis on Fridays.
I
I have a meme I need to send you because I just made it. Jesus.
Oh please.
It actually is on topic to Grog.
I'll read it in a minute. I got really distracted. I was about to read it, but yeah,
I know it's got a big muscly man on it.
I know, so I got distracted. Oh, look at them titties. I got distracted.
Look at them titties.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us babble about a topic that is it's hard. I think good discussions are hard. There'll never be a truly good or wrong way for it. There's some that are. It's just like, is broccoli okay in pizza? Yeah, it is. It's delicious. Fight me. That's an easy conversation to have. This half the chat just leaves.
I want waffle fries.
Waffle fries are great.
I've just been craving waffle fries this whole time now.
What?
So, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I love hearing my friends' thoughts on this. It's hearing others talk is, I don't know why, something that I just adore and I love.
Never assume I ever have a cognitive thought ever in this head.
Never did. So, no,
I mean, you
joking.
live here, bro.
I'll definitely fight you for that. Oh.
Wait.
No, someone apparently will fight you on.
Shelbert is ready to fight.
Broccoli. Shelbert, listen to me. Listen to me real good. Are you listening real good?
Oh, that's the ASMR.
Because broccoli is like the gosh dang tastiest freaking morsel on this planet. And if you don't agree with me, on the second tastiest morsel being pizza and combining them into a broccoli pizza, like, oh my god, have you even heard of heaven? What?
I'm just gonna say, when you cook broccoli to a certain degree, it just smells like ass at that point. I think that just says something.
I love ass, yes. Oh my god, as soon as I said that, we literally lost all, we went off air. I don't know if people heard that, but I hope that they did. If they didn't, great.
Whoa.
If they did, best. Alright guys, I think that's enough. Let's discuss my fetishes at another time. Alright, please be kind to one another.
The broccoli took our spirits out.
Please don't forget to love one another.
We just peaked at 13 views now. Nice.
Oh, no.
Oh.
10 out of 10.
I
Oh.
love as soon as I was about to threaten Twitch, just
Oh
Twitch
my
is
god.
on Shelbert's
Oh,
side.
and if you want to hear this discussion, at least at the very end of it, you have to tune in on Anchor or YouTube because it was recorded. We just, for some reason, went from 3,000 upload to 0 as soon as that happened. Oh my god. Whew. I'm flustered. Alright, guys, for realsies. This time, adios, bye. We love y'all.
Bye.